Already, boys and girls, welcome. Week 15, Draftkings is here. We're going to go player by player breakdown. I have the Vegas total pages in front of me. Now, just a quick reminder for everybody. You guys know my style of play. I played a $9 slant, GPP on Draftkings every week. That's 150 lineups, $9 a pop. That's cost me $13.50. Last week, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We didn't really hit last week, but I only lost a couple hundred the bucks, and I'm still up, a little over 30 grand. And the reason why last week didn't pan out, I actually made a lot of good decisions last week. I completely avoided the Chiefs, which I don't really think ended up hurting me. I wish I had some Kelsey, obviously. He had a great game, but if you look at it, really, he wasn't really, so necessary to be in your lineup, I don't think, because you could have made it elsewhere by saving money, because there was a lot of players that just blew up, right? And Mahomes and a lot of people that had Kelsey ended up with Mahomes on their lineup, and he ended up throwing 3 picks, and he didn't really have his best performance of the year against the Miami stout secondary, right? And another thing that worked out well for me, J.D. McKissick, right? Almost 15 to 20% ownership in certain tournaments. I mentioned it over and over again. I said to you guys, what if Washington wins this game, right? And rightfully so. The defense carried them all the way. And I'm so freaking surprised how, and I had a lot of exposure to Washington defense. And I'm a Washington fan, but I had tons and tons of exposure to the Washington defense. So that worked out quite well. A lot of my things went well. A lot of picks that I, overplayed went well. It's just that my stacks didn't hit. So I had a lot of exposure to Tampa Bay, Minnesota game, and Tom Brady threw for 20 odd something times. We got the news that Fournette was going to be out, and all of a sudden that spiked Ronald Jones' ownership through the roof, kind of. He wasn't really supposed to be that owned, and I kind of, I stayed with my Brady stacks, Kirk Cousins stacks, and that sometimes in DFS, you pick a certain game, you fall in love with it, or you overthink it. Yeah, I definitely learned a lot from last week, and I think that's how everybody, should be approaching these type of tournaments on a weekly basis. If you don't do well, it's time to jump right back on the train. All right, so let's jump into week 15. Enough of that. If you guys want to talk further on that, you guys can, DM me, message me, whatever you want. We'll go over where I just didn't have time this week, really, because I do have a business, so I didn't really have time to go over that with you guys. So, by the way, I love doing these live streams. So anyways, let's jump into the Vegas totals here, right? We're seeing the top teams projected, great Vegas totals. This is an incredible week for DFS, guys. It's an incredible week. We got high totals. We got, great quarterbacks in great spots. We got rookie running backs in great spots. And I'm already kind of having a good idea on where the field is going to be in certain spots, right? I don't like to play the ownership game like most people will or other YouTubers do too early in the week. So, anyways, we'll go right here, okay, and we'll check out these players. Now, right off the bat, I am absolutely, and I know, and I'm not being biased here. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not being biased, okay? I know this Monday night, Lamar Jackson blew up, but My God, do I love Lamar Jackson this week, guys. My God, do I love me some Lamar Jackson. And again, it's not a biased opinion. I just absolutely love Lamar Jackson in this spot. And he's turning on at the right time. The only thing that, kind of worries me is if they blow him up, if they blow him out in the first half, obviously what happens after that, right? But Lamar Jackson is going to eat this week, and I want a lot of exposure to Lamar Jackson and a lot of exposure way over the field. I don't know what it's too early in the week to talk about ownership, and there's a lot of good quarterbacks in a lot of good spots. And normally what's helped me win GPPs is, players that I can stack. I'm not even quite sure, really how to approach Lamar Jackson as a stacking perspective, maybe more as a one-off, right? I mean, sure, you have Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, I think he's the safest option there. A couple receivers there, but Mark Andrews is definitely my favorite spot there. I actually really love these running quarterbacks this week. That's going to be able to get it done on the ground. My second favorite play for the week in quarterbacks is believe it or not, guys, it's Taysom Hill. I've never played Taysom Hill, okay? But the reason I would have 150 lineups and I'd have one Taysom Hill in it, right? I mean, I'm playing the $9 slant. For those of you that may have just joined, you didn't watch the beginning of the live video. I played a $9 slant, 150 lineups every week, and I'll have one lineup with Taysom Hill, right? But in this spot, let me tell you guys why I like him. Kansas City allows opposing quarterbacks to have ceiling games. We've seen it week in, week out. We even saw it with Tua Tagovailoa, right? We even saw it with Tua, 31-something Draftkings points. And it seems like whoever they play, the opposing quarterbacks tend to have ceiling games, and especially because Taysom Hill can get it done on the ground, with his legs. I really, really love him in this spot. This price tag, it's 6,000, DraftKings. It's too cheap. It's too cheap. If he got you one on the ground, two passing, and maybe, 80-something rushing yards, I think he's certainly in play. So, from what I could tell you guys, as a Wednesday night, my highest two exposures for running back, for quarterbacks is Taysom Hill and Lamar Jackson. These are my favorite quarterback plays, and because this particular video is about picks, I'm not really gonna go into game by game theory. So we're just gonna have our picks. We have Lamar Jackson, Taysom Hill, and last but not least, most of my exposure, probably coming in third, is going to be Jared Goff. I mean, we've seen week in and week out, whoever plays the Jets, okay, these are GPP winning upside quarterbacks, right? I mean, I don't need to tell you guys much. These are my top three plays. I'm a little bit worried about, obviously, Matt Ryan is high on this list, mainly due to his price point, but I'm a little bit after what I saw, that Tampa Bay defense last week. So I'm a little bit confused. They had 3 games of terrible pass defense, and now all of a sudden they decided to show up last week. I guess, it's December, coming playoff time. They were home, so I'm not too sure. I know Atlanta's home this game, but if Julio Jones plays, which I don't think he will, I'm really not going anywhere near Atlanta side of this game. So my highest exposures we covered. Probably my fourth best option here is Kyler Murray. Okay, we've seen him run a little bit more with these legs, get it done through the air a little bit. DeAndre Hopkins had a good game with 26.5 DraftKings points. Okay, he had a good game. He was being targeted a lot, and it seems like Kyler Murray at 7,000. This is more of a price play, guys, and his ceiling's always there. Too cheap. Way too cheap. So it seems like I like all the running quarterbacks this week, but they're all in excellent spots. Okay, and I'm not going to go down the list here because those are going to be my highest exposure quarterbacks for the week, and I'll keep this video short for you guys, just so you know where I'm at early on in the week with quarterbacks. So I'm going to have those top 4 exposure in quarterbacks. Let's move on to our running backs. I have a very interesting take this week. I was all over. I told you guys, just watch my video from last week, right? $8,400 for Derrick Henry. I told you guys I'm going to be all over the field on him, right? I try to get to him as much as possible. He blew up, right? He had that blow up game. He had an incredible game. Jonathan Taylor, man, I really last week I had Jonathan Taylor penciled out, right? And rightfully so. He goes up and blows up, but I just didn't have enough of him in GPPs. And now that I'm even talking about it, kind of makes me furious because this is the guy I wanted to be over the field on, way over. But somehow my lineups just didn't get there. I don't know what it was. That's completely on me. But Jonathan Taylor, we can go back here, but I feel like his ownership is going to be high this week. I mean, that opportunity was there last week, and I'm the type of guy, I like to buy on players when they're low, right? When they're low owned, when their price dips all the way down, just like Kyler Murray, right? We've all given up on Kyler Murray. He's $7K, cheapest we've seen him all year, kind of, so to speak. Now is the time to fucking pounce on him. I don't care about matchup with Kyler Murray. He can do it against any defense with these legs. I don't give a fuck. He has a decent Vegas total, so... but this is what I'm trying to get at. Now you see, like, Jonathan Taylor's priced up, and his ownership is probably going to be over 10%, right? So we lost that opportunity. So now I'm looking at a guy like Nyheim Hines, right? And why am I... Now, Houston, so, yeah, everybody has good running game. That's the one thing that worries me about the Houston. For Nyheim Hines to do well... not in every spot, guys, that Nyheim Hines has had good games, they've actually been trailing. I've been watching a lot of, because they, like, even on that showdown slate, a couple weeks back when they were on Thursday Night Football, like, he had the best game of his career, and they weren't trailing at any point of the game. So, I don't know, I can't really figure out this Indiana backfield, just like the most of you. I feel like Jonathan Taylor obviously is turning up at the right time. But for me, this is going to be price point play and also ownership play. So I'm going to be over the field on Nyheim Hines. It's going to be simple as that. I got to have somebody against this awful Houston defense, right? I'm definitely going to have a lot of exposure to this offense against Houston because they're trash. They just made Mitchell Trubisky look like he's fucking Dan Marino out there, right? I mean, they're trash, right? We'll talk about when we come to the wide receivers. We'll definitely talk about a couple of the guys in the Indiana side that I think is still gonna go low owned, but we'll get there when we get to the wide receivers. Just going down this list, guys. Josh Jacobs had an awful game last week, okay? He was just coming back from injury. I'm worried about his health. If he's healthy, this is going to come down to an ownership play. It's too early in the week, but, I love me some Josh Jacobs. Devin Singletary is a player that I never really touch, right? But, I mean, look at this fucking price tag, guys. Fucking $4,100 on Buffalo's offense. So that's right off the bat. I don't really care matchup here. They're Buffalo's favorite, and I don't care. I don't need much from Singletary. If he ends up on my lineups, I need 15 Draftkings points from him, right? And what is that going to take him to get there? On a full PPR league or a system, that's too cheap. And this is the time to buy low-owned players. In GPPs, we're targeting low-owned, cheap, when their prices have dipped, kind of players, right? So looking down the list here, Mike Davis, he can definitely have a great game here against Green Bay. I've never been a big Mike Davis fan. I wasn't there when he was getting all the points early in the season. I just, Didn't feel comfortable going there. I know he's getting all the work. I know he's projected to do well, and his price tag is decent. But I think this week, a lot of people are either going to be at the top, and depending on what opens up for us later on in the week, a lot of people are either going to be at the top, right? The highest ownership guy is probably going to be Derrick Henry, and then probably Dalvin Cook is going to be there somewhere in the mix in ownership. But I think going in the 6K range might pay you some dividends. I think you might do well there. So I'll definitely have some exposure to Mike Davis because he does it all, right? He catches the ball off the backfield. He can run it in for one. So I don't mind going there. Chase Edmonds, I will not touch. I'm Kenyon Drake had a great game last week, actually, but so Chase Edmonds definitely a better spot here in my opinion because Philadelphia front, that front end, that's a scary D line for me to go there. But Kyler Murray, because of Kyler Murray, the running game kind of opens up every time. So, Arizona running backs do look interesting, but I think that's going to come down to ownership play. So I'm not giving you guys a pick there, right? We didn't talk about Derrick Henry. He's sitting at the top of the list there. It's too expensive. It's just too expensive for me. What does he... Okay, so let's talk about it like this, right? He's 9,500, right? What if he gets 30 DraftKings points, right? But then you have a 5K to a 6K running back getting the same amount of points. Now, he's the most guaranteed out of the bunch. I do understand that. But that $9,500 price tag, and his ownership is going to be through the roof this week. I'm not sure. I will definitely have some exposure, but I am going to be way below the field on Derrick Henry this week as from what I'm seeing. Unless some value opens up. But if that happens, keep in mind, guys, if value opens up, his ownership is even going to be higher, right? So, they're saying Matthew Stafford isn't going to play, right? And it's hard for me to believe that Chase Daniels can do well, can put points, even though this Tennessee defense is trash. But I'm a little bit worried about that spot. I really hope that Stafford plays, so then it'll make me feel a lot more comfortable just completely fading Derrick Henry at this price tag. 9,500, too much. And I'll just go to if I have to in certain lineups, I'll just go to Dalvin Cook. What's to say that he can't have a great game against Chicago? Right? He can catch, he can run, he does it all, right? So, Derrick Henry, not so high on. Aaron Jones, man, this man crushed me last week, man. This man just crushed me last week. I don't know what it was. I was watching that entire game. They were, Detroit just kept on staying around in this game enough that they didn't feed him. They want Rodgers to do, break records or something, I guess. I don't know what's going on there, but Aaron Jones, every time he touched the ball, he looked so good, but they just kept going back to the pass on first downs. That passing game there is legit. So that's a scary spot for me. But, this is going to come down to ownership. I can't really give you guys exact plays. It's too early in the week. But anyways, going down. Austin Eckler is always in play for me. Okay, especially on a site like DraftKings, right? He doesn't even have to get in the end zone for you for him to pay off the salary. He can get you 24 DraftKings points, 4x his salary without touching the end zone. And if he just goes in there for a couple of times, he is a GPP winner. So I'm definitely gonna be over the field from looking at it right now, right? Vegas defense, we always like to target, right? We're gonna target Vegas defense. Again, we're going to stream running backs against Vegas defense, so he's certainly in play for me. Both of the Cleveland running backs are definitely in play for me. I feel like the Giants defense is definitely solid, and I feel like their cornerbacks are a little bit scary to target, and I don't think we're going to be we're we're going to be seeing a ceiling type of game from Baker Mayfield in this spot. I think this is going to be run it down their throat, and the Giants' offense is trash. They're going to play good defense, and they're just going to wrap up this game easily. I think the Giants are done, definitely. I mean, they don't have a chance now. They do have a chance, right? But I think Washington, me being a Washington fan, maybe I'm being a little bit biased, but I think this is Washington's division. So I'm definitely going to have some interest in Kareem Hunt, right? But deciding between Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, right? Deciding between them is going to come strictly down to ownership for me. Kareem Hunt looks just so much more cheaper and appealing, and I think that they can both get there on any given week. I mean, you guys saw it this Monday, right? They both got there. If you played the showdown slate, if you had both of them in your lineup, you basically won GPP. So they're always in play. But on a 12-game slate or 11-game slate, we don't need to play both running backs from the same team ever in a GPP lineup. Don't ever do that, please. Because, yeah. Anyways, Alvin Kamara, like I said, I'm going to be targeting the New Orleans side of this game. I think they're going to be playing from behind. I'm certainly going to be streaming, Alvin Kamara. He had a good game last week against the stout Philadelphia defense. I'm going to have exposure to him because I'm going to have exposure to Taysom Hill. Not necessarily in, I'm never going to double stack Taysom Hill. Don't get me wrong. Right? I'm never going to do that. But I can see a good scenario playing out where all three of them have a good game, right? Who am I talking about? Of course, it's the three top guys: Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. Okay? And then bring back of somebody who I really like this week. But we're going to talk about that in the wide receiver section. Okay? But then a cheaper leverage play bring back from the Chiefs side. And we'll talk about that shortly here. Okay? Just stay tuned for this one. You guys are going to love it. But I feel like that stake has just like through the roof type of potential, man. I'm telling y'all. Go there. Trust me. But anyways, yeah, I think they're definitely in play because they're going to have to score points. Okay? This is a very important division, playoff standing game. Very, very important game. And I think New Orleans is going to score a lot of points. Gus Edwards, 4,400, Baltimore, okay? So everybody from the Baltimore offense is going to be in play for me against this Jacksonville team, okay? But it's going to come down to lineup construction, okay? I'm not sure if I'm going to have bringbacks from the Jacksonville side. I'll probably target a whole boatload of James Robinson, okay? I know you guys haven't seen him on this list yet, but there he is, right? I'm going to have a shitload of him. I don't care who he is playing. I'm always going to go back to James Robinson because he's always in play, and Baltimore's run defense, we saw what Cleveland did to them last week. I'm not saying that Jacksonville's running game is Cleveland, but this man can get it done for you in many, many ways, and he's the only player on Jacksonville I think that's actually viable in tournaments this week. I think everybody else against this stout Baltimore secondary, if they are healthy, I haven't really looked too deep into that yet. I know they had a lot of injuries on that Monday night game. So, playing bringbacks, because I like that game so much, having bringbacks from that game is going to come strictly down to, what we discussed there. Cam Akers, everybody's talking about Cam Akers, right? I mean, I like the passing side of this game. Okay, a lot of YouTubers, everybody's talking about Cam Akers. I like the passing side of this game. I like Goff in this spot. I'm going to have a shitload of exposure to Goff, double stacks. Okay, and if I can find low-owned Jets player, and I don't even have to bring it back with anybody from the Jets side, okay? I know that normally more so, simplifies the construction of your lineup, right? In getting that possible highest ceiling. But you don't really have to go there. But anyways, guys, those are my favorite running backs for the week. Okay? It's going to be a lot of Baltimore backs. It's going to be a lot of Indiana backs. It's going to be Austin Eckler. It's going to be James Robinson, the two running backs that could do it all. So my running backs are going to be tied to my... A lot of my running backs this week are going to be tied to my quarterbacks because they're running quarterbacks. And what's to say that they both can't get there? You can't tell me they're not both going to get half ceiling games. And it's definitely possible strictly because of the matchups that I discussed with you guys. Okay? My favorite play of the week, first of all, I wanted to tell you guys is a wide receiver from the Chiefs. You guys might think I'm crazy because he hasn't had a good game yet, but I feel like he's going to be zero owned. He's not going to be owned at all, and he's on the field all the time. And because I like the New Orleans side of this game so much, and because it's going to be expensive, I'm going to be all over Sammy Watkins this week. It's a really off-the-radar play. I'm telling you guys firsthand. But I'm going to be all over Sammy Watkins, mainly as a price tag play. I think he's $4,600 on Draftkings. And because he's going to be able to fit in my New Orleans stacks, he's certainly going to be in play for me as a bring back. Because I'm not playing the Kansas City side of this game so much, outside of somebody that I can put in my lineups and I can afford. Because that's just how lineup construction works. I mean, you can't have a lot of ownership to the both sides of the game. So rather than just giving you guys picks, I'm telling you guys how I'm going to approach GPPs, right? Because that's where the money's at. Okay, I mean, that's where $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 payouts. That's where you want to be at. You don't want to be in this. You don't want to hear me give you picks. You don't want me to tell you to play people. That's not going to help you win a GPP. We got to talk, my favorite show that I'm going to be doing is the game-by-game breakdown, right? We got to anticipate. We got to leverage ourselves, and we got to talk about games. What games have the potential to blow up? Or what players that are low-owned could have ceiling games? What players are at the right price tags? Do they fit our roster construction? This is the type of stuff that I want to talk to you guys about. I'm not going to be like every other YouTuber out there giving you guys, here, my picks, like that, that beer guy, beer picks, Roto Grinders, beer picks. I'm not going to give you 6 picks. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not giving you picks. It might be a popular video. It might get me the views. But this is not what this channel is about. I don't give a fuck about views. This YouTube thing is a hobby for me. I own a business and I play DFS on the side. I like to talk about game theory, off the radar picks. Like, who's gonna tell you to fucking play Sammy Watkins? Who's gonna tell you to stack up Taysom Hill with a fucking with three players on the same? Like, I like to think like that. That's how I've won GPPs. Anyways, T.Y. Hilton, right? Indiana side, we love this Indiana side, man. And he's turning it on at the right time, right? Where was he at all year long? I thought he was like done, and he's still 5,500. He had a great game last week. And I want to tell you guys something. Like, whenever a team, for GPP wise, whenever a team plays Monday night, you guys know that Draftkings doesn't update their price tags, right? So that's why I want to remind you. That's why I'm on the Baltimore side so much, because otherwise Lamar Jackson would have been $8,000 something. What is he sitting at right now? He's fucking 7,500. Why is he 7,500 after having a ceiling game last week? Well, he played Monday night. Draftkings never changed his price. Simple. Play him. Just play him in all your lineups. If you're making 100 lineups, play 100% Lamar Jackson. The only thing that I don't see is that the only thing that worries me is that, like them blowing them out. But I think if they do that, I think that he already has 30-something DraftKings points. So you're good. That's 5x. If he has 35, that's 5x. That's close to 5x. And that's what you need. Right? Right? So, T.Y. Hilton, ownership. If the ownership is not there, I'm targeting everybody that's playing against Houston. We saw what the Bears did to this team last week. And it seems like now early on in the week. We don't know ownership yet. It seems like everybody's on Jonathan Taylor. How do we leverage the field? How do we leverage the field and we still want a shitload of exposure to T.Y. Hill? To this Indiana offense. Okay? Before in the year, we didn't really know where it was going, but now it's coming along. Now it's the T.Y. Hilton show again. All right? So now we're going to be pouncing on T.Y. Hilton. If the ownership isn't there, he's going to be one of my highest owned plays. I don't care. I want to stream players against this awful Houston defense, period. Period. Last week, this Dallas side of the passing game kind of torched me, and I'll explain to you guys why. It wasn't like they had a terrible Vegas total, but I was using the same concept that they were too fucking cheap because they had just played on Monday night or Sunday night, whatever. No, Monday night, and Draftkings never had a chance to adjust their points. So all the players were too cheap, and they all had great games. So I had a lot of exposure to Dallas. That really hurt me, okay, last week. But, lesson learned, okay? And I don't think I'm going to be touching this Dallas side of the game against San Francisco. Their defense is legit. I'm not touching anything Dallas this week. I don't care about price point. Lazard, okay? Anytime, guys, look at this. Hear this out. This is a very similar play to Sammy Watkins, right? What happened last week? All the ownership went to Devontae Adams, right? 30-something% owned, right? Who had the best game, point per dollar wise? Who had the best game in the Packers game? MVS, Marquez Valdez fucking Scantling had the best game. He was $3,900 on DraftKings. I just kept pointing him out. I kept looking at my screen. 0 to 1% owned. You want players like this at their lowest price point tied to a quarterback like Aaron fucking Rodgers, like Patrick fucking Mahomes. You want quarterbacks with high Vegas totals, and they're great quarterbacks, and when that second or the third guy in that passing game, when their price dips like this, you pounce. These are the type of plays that I like to have. Lazard, I don't think he's going to be owned at all. But $4,100, any wide receiver attached to Aaron Rodgers, it's too cheap. I'm not going to have too many game stacks here, so he's going to play as one-offs for me. He's going to be a lot of one-offs because I told you guys where I'm stacking. I told you guys where my exposures are, my quarterbacks, right? So he's going to be a lot of one-offs for me, Lazard. It's too cheap. Going down here, Devontae Adams is in play, but I don't like to pay that much for any player. I don't like to pay $9K for anyone, and that's going to allow me to have a different construction lineup because he's probably going to be through the roof owned again. But we don't know ownership yet. It's too early, guys. Too early. All those YouTubers that are giving you ownership on fucking Wednesday, they do it for views. That's it. Come Sunday morning, nobody knows ownership in this industry, okay, until Sunday morning at 11 a.m. All right? When everybody's in, or Sunday morning, 5 a.m., if you wake up and check Twitter, you're going to see who's in, who's out, right? That's when you know fucking ownership. Those guys don't know any shit. They do it for views. But I like to listen to the shows just to get an insight on, just to see where people are headed, right? Talking about GPPs here. A.J. Brown. Expensive, right? Expensive, but he could be a great leverage play. Over Derrick Henry, who's going to be 30-something% owned. A.J. Brown is going to come down to ownership play. I'm not going to tell you who he's facing in Detroit, which quarterback. You don't need to know that. There's nobody in Detroit that can cover A.J. Brown. I don't even know. I personally don't know, who's going to be guarding him, but I don't give a fuck. I look at ownership. I look at wide receivers. I look at the spot. How can I leverage myself in the field in GPPs? That's all you need to know in GPPs. And then you can listen to other YouTubers, experts, that are going to tell you matchup specifics. Sal Vetri is a great content maker. I know most of you guys probably watch him. Great guy. He knows positional breakdowns and everything. I don't do this. I just worry about, like I said, GPPs. Okay. I look at how I'm going to leverage the players, how I'm going to leverage plays, and I make picks off of that. And I'm been successful at it. Okay. You don't see any YouTubers sharing their results with you guys. There's many reasons for that. Okay. But I check their results all the time. Most of them are, I don't know how many tournaments they play, but the tournaments that I check them in, they're fucking losing. So you can go see results. Just go to rotogrinders.com, see, leaderboards. Not leaderboards, but see the results. Few guys win it consistently. Michael Pittman's in play. Going down the list here, KJ Hamler had a great fucking week last week, huh, guys? But I'm not touching any Denver against Buffalo. I'm not. I don't. Maybe some one-offs. Maybe it's going to come down to price play. Nope. This Tampa Bay Atlanta game has shootout potential. Let's take a look at the Vegas totals real quick, right? You guys can look at this it's a free website. You guys can look at the Vegas totals here, right? Right? Whenever you see this, implied open, implied live, right? That means going up. The spread's gone up. That means sharps are betting on Tampa side of this game. They opened up as 4-point favorites. Now they're up to 6. I would have done the same thing if I captured this line at 4. I would have fucking slammed Tampa Bay to, and I think that's just going to keep increasing throughout the week. So if you're planning on betting this game, I'd probably cop it at 6. I think it's going to go up to 8, 9 potentially, because I don't see a chance. I think this is a cakewalk for a Tampa Bay side of the game. But when I pick wide receivers, guys, like I said, we want to leverage the field by picking cheaper wide receivers that are attached to super, incredible quarterbacks with high Vegas totals, right? So we're seeing here Tennessee. How do we leverage that? Okay, we go A.J. Brown, okay, right? We can also go to, what's his fucking name? I forgot, Jesus. Let's go back here. Let's find him, because I'm having a brain fart. Sorry for that, guys. If anybody is in the chat, you can let me know. But I'm pretty sure he's in the 65,000 somewhere here. God damn. Am I not seeing this right, guys? I'm looking for wide receiver for Tennessee. A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Juju. Corey motherfucking Davis. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for that. Corey Davis, right? He's in play, right? Sorry for that. Let's go back here. Let's go to our wide receivers page. Antonio Brown. It looks like Chris Godwin's price tag came down a bit. Okay, I had a shitload of exposure to him last week. He fucking burned me. They just didn't pass the ball at all here. Let's take a look. He 4.50, and I had maybe 40-something% Chris Godwin. So you guys can just figure out how my week went, right? You're gonna have weeks like that, man. It's fucking DFS, and I really love this spot, and this is what he fucking gives me. 4 Draftkings points. Thank you very much. But maybe it's the time to get back on that, right? If you think that Atlanta is gonna keep up in this game, or if you think it's gonna be all Tampa defense in the run game, you gotta just leverage yourself and pick out your plays like that. Tyreek Hill is too expensive. Look at this buy salary here. Too many wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is certainly in play. A lot of the Minnesota guys are certainly in play here. But again, we don't know ownership, so it's too early in the week to really talk about stuff. So I think you guys know where I'm at right now, mostly where my ownership is going to be, because it's going to be a lot of attachment of plays to the, to my highest exposed quarterbacks. Tunyon is in play. That's too cheap, right? Highest ceiling player through highest ceiling projected player. If that's impossible, that's gotta be, yeah. That's wrong. But I'm gonna have a lot of. I want to see the rating on Mark Andrews here, because I'm gonna have a lot of Mark Andrews. He's probably the third highest. Yeah, there he is. Okay, 5,500. That's not bad. All right, that's not bad. Great Vegas total. He's quarterback, doesn't have to pass a lot, but he can get it done in one quarter, right? He can get it done for us in 2-3 quarters. I'm going to have a lot of Mark Andrews. Because I'm probably going to be... Darren Waller, for me, is going to come down to more so, do I play... I'm never going to play Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller in the same lineup. They're extremely negative correlated, right? Right? Look at this. Look at the correlations. I mean, they barely ever do well together is what I'm trying to say here. If you expect a ceiling game from either one, just make sure don't play them together. That's all I got to tell you there. You want players that are correlated. And this week's approach for me, because I'm going to have a lot of one-offs, because I have quarterbacks with rushing upside, I'm going to have secondary stacks. A lot of secondary stacks in my lineups are going to be, so, to give you guys maybe a perfect example, right? Maybe I'll have Aaron Jones if I predict that Green Bay is going to be winning this game. And Aaron Jones is in a good spot, obviously, right? Against Carolina. Carolina's run defense isn't good. So if I'm projecting that, I'll have Robbie Anderson as a bringback. I know Jair Alexander's there. I know his name. I know he comes up all the time. But sometimes it really doesn't matter too much. If you think he's going to be shut down, you could play Curtis Samuel. You could play somebody else. You could bring it back with another wide receiver. That's all I'm trying to say. And it's always good when the chalk fails on a certain player, it's time to jump back on them. Okay? When the chalk fails, jump back. Logan Thomas is definitely in play for me because I feel like Washington is going to be trailing and he's been a target machine lately. But I don't know about who's going to be the quarterback for this week in Washington. Is it going to be Dwayne Haskins? Is it going to be Alex Smith? I'm not too sure there. So can't give you guys that pick yet. Ebron is certainly in play. Great total. Shitty like this Cincinnati defense is awful. I know there's a lot of targets, mouths to feed over there. But if he catches two touchdowns are out of the realm of possibilities for him, right? I'm gonna be stacking a lot of Goff. Obviously his tight ends are gonna come with it, right? Gerald Everett. Excuse me, cheap price tag. He's certainly in play. So in GPPs, guys, talking about strategy, if you feel really high on a particular quarterback, if it's very simple strategy. If it's a quarterback that can't run the ball, you want to double stack him. If he can run, maybe single stack or skinny stack. That's the only approach you need to take when you're making your GPP lineups. Okay, this show is mostly, not the show, but this video, this content is mostly for people, like I said, that are going to be making these multiple lineups. All right. Austin Hooper is in play. Okay, he seems really cheap, and if the running backs in the Cleveland side are highly owned, which we don't know yet, will jump on the other side of this game. We'll jump on the passing side of this game. Okay, and the Giants are pretty bad against tight ends. They're great against receivers, but they're bad against tight ends. Trey Burton always in play. He's tied to Rivers, right? Jordan Reed, Dallas against Dallas. He's in play. It's too cheap. Yeah, so those are some of my picks for the week, guys. It's a little bit 45 minutes. I think that's too long. But anyways, I think you guys got a little bit idea of a game theory concept for week 15 right now, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll make better videos. I'll have picks for you guys. I know a lot of people, to watch to get views, I need to put picks videos, but like I said, I talk game theory, so that takes 40 fucking minutes. So that covers some of my plays. I'll start to make videos for you guys where I'll put players on an Excel and I'll just give you picks, right? Pick, and I'll get a lot of views. But for the time being, it is what it is. Whoever tuned into this, as much as this minute, whatever it may be, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. God bless you guys. Keefvape out. I wish the best for you guys in week 15. I'll make another video. I'll make a game by game breakdown video on Friday night. We'll go live again like this. We'll talk better in strategy when I have a better grasp of the week. Also, when I have a better idea of ownership on the week. But like I said, if you're making a lot of lineups, make sure to have a lot of Lamar Jackson, baby. Okay, he's gonna crush it this week. I'm all over that. I don't care. But God bless you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless. Have a good night. Keefvape out. Take care.